Welcome to the Environmental Awareness course. Environmental awareness within the workplace and broader society is a critical aspect of health, safety, and sustainability, particularly in the United Kingdom, where legislation and guidance from agencies such as the Environment Agency, HSE, and local authorities provide clear frameworks for protecting the environment. Environmental awareness involves understanding the impacts of human activities, including industrial operations, construction, and everyday business practices, on natural resources, ecosystems, and the climate. UK environmental regulations, such as the Environmental Protection Act 1990, the Control of Pollution Act 1974, and the Waste Management Licensing Regulations 1994, place duties on organizations and individuals to prevent pollution, manage waste responsibly, and adopt practices that minimize negative environmental impacts. At its core, environmental awareness is about recognizing the interconnections between operational decisions, resource consumption, and environmental health. The ability to identify potential environmental hazards, understand regulatory obligations, and implement sustainable practices is essential not only for compliance, but also for fostering a culture of responsibility and stewardship within any organization. The importance of environmental awareness extends beyond legal compliance. It also encompasses ethical considerations, corporate social responsibility, and the promotion of sustainable development principles. Workers and managers alike must understand how their actions affect water quality, air quality, soil integrity, biodiversity, and greenhouse gas emissions. By fostering environmental awareness, organizations can reduce pollution risks, optimize resource use, improve public perception, and contribute to national and global environmental objectives, such as the UK's Climate Change Act's 2008 targets. A comprehensive understanding of environmental legislation and the regulatory framework within the UK is fundamental for any environmental awareness program. Key legislation includes the Environmental Protection Act 1990, which establishes duties for the prevention of pollution, proper waste disposal, and control of statutory nuisances, including noise, odors, and emissions. The Control of Pollution Act 1974 provides additional measures for regulating water pollution, particularly in relation to industrial effluent and waste discharge, while the Water Resources Act 1991 addresses the sustainable management of watercourses and groundwater. The HSE also provides guidance on environmental risk management, particularly where human health intersects with environmental hazards, including the handling of hazardous substances under COSHH and the management of asbestos, or chemical pollutants. Additionally, EU-derived regulations such as the REACH, registration, evaluation, authorization, and restriction of chemicals framework, still embedded in UK law post-Brexit, establish requirements for the safe management of chemicals to prevent harm to humans and the environment. Compliance with these regulations requires organizations to undertake regular risk assessments, maintain accurate records of hazardous materials, and implement control measures to minimize releases to air, water, and soil. The duty of care under the Environmental Protection Act obliges businesses to take responsibility for the safe handling, storage, and disposal of waste, ensuring that it is transferred only to licensed carriers and that records of disposal are maintained. Failure to comply with these requirements can lead to criminal prosecution, significant fines, and reputational damage. Through the understanding of these legislative requirements, learners develop the knowledge to ensure their operations remain legally compliant while actively contributing to environmental sustainability objectives. Understanding the environmental impacts of workplace activities is central to environmental awareness. Different sectors have distinct environmental challenges, but common impacts include air pollution from vehicle emissions or industrial processes, water pollution from chemical discharges or oil spills, soil contamination from hazardous waste, and biodiversity loss due to land use changes. In the construction industry, for example, earthworks, concrete production, and the operation of heavy machinery can lead to increased carbon emissions, sediment runoff, and disruption of local habitats. Industrial and manufacturing processes may release particulates, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, and greenhouse gases, while offices and service industries contribute indirectly through energy consumption, resource use, and waste generation. HSE guidance highlights the importance of assessing these impacts through environmental risk assessments, which should consider the likelihood, severity, and potential mitigation strategies for each identified hazard. Environmental impacts also extend to social and economic dimensions, as pollution and resource depletion can affect communities, local economies, and public health. For instance, improper chemical disposal can contaminate drinking water supplies, posing health risks and legal liabilities. Raising awareness of these impacts among workers fosters a proactive approach to environmental management, encouraging actions such as energy efficiency measures, waste reduction initiatives, and adherence to proper chemical handling procedures. By linking everyday operational decisions to their broader environmental consequences, organizations can embed sustainability into organizational culture, reduce their ecological footprint, and meet corporate social responsibility commitments. Pollution prevention and waste management are cornerstones of environmental awareness and are heavily regulated in the UK. The Environmental Protection Act 1990 establishes a duty of care for waste, requiring organizations to ensure that waste is handled safely, stored securely, and disposed of in accordance with legal requirements. This includes segregating hazardous waste from non-hazardous waste, preventing leaks or spills, and using authorized waste carriers and disposal sites. HSE guidance emphasizes that even seemingly minor lapses, such as the incorrect storage of solvents or contaminated materials, can result in significant environmental damage, regulatory noncompliance, and potential legal action. Pollution prevention extends beyond waste management and includes measures to prevent emissions to air, water, and soil. For example, processes should be designed to minimize the release of dust, fumes, and chemical effluents, with containment systems such as bunding, filtration, or scrubbers implemented where necessary. Spills must be managed with immediate containment and cleanup procedures, using materials and methods that comply with regulatory standards and minimize environmental harm. Additionally, organizations are encouraged to adopt the waste hierarchy, prioritizing waste prevention, reuse, and recycling over disposal. Training staff to recognize opportunities for waste reduction, efficient resource use, and responsible disposal is integral to embedding a culture of environmental awareness. By implementing effective pollution prevention and waste management strategies, businesses not only comply with legislation, but also reduce costs, enhance operational efficiency, and demonstrate environmental stewardship. Environmental risk assessment is a fundamental process that allows organizations to identify, evaluate, and manage the potential environmental hazards associated with their operations. In the United Kingdom, the Health and Safety Executive, HSE, alongside the Environment Agency, provides guidance on conducting robust environmental risk assessments, which are essential for both compliance and proactive environmental management. Risk assessments involve systematically identifying hazards, determining the likelihood and severity of potential impacts, and implementing control measures to mitigate risks. For instance, a chemical manufacturing site might assess the risks of spills or leaks contaminating soil and watercourses, while a construction site may evaluate the potential for sediment runoff or disruption to local wildlife habitats. The Environmental Protection Act 1990 and the Control of Pollution Act 1974 emphasize that organizations have a duty to anticipate and prevent pollution incidents, meaning that risk assessments must be thorough, documented, and regularly reviewed. A comprehensive risk assessment considers a wide range of factors, including the types and quantities of hazardous materials, operational processes, the proximity of sensitive environments, and potential exposure to the wider community. Effective risk assessment also includes the identification of emergency procedures, containment measures, and staff responsibilities in the event of environmental incidents. By embedding environmental risk assessment into operational planning, organizations not only comply with legal obligations, but also minimize the likelihood of costly incidents, reduce reputational risks, and ensure long-term sustainability. Staff involvement in the risk assessment process is critical, as it encourages ownership, improves understanding of hazards, and ensures that control measures are practical and effective. Monitoring environmental performance is an essential component of effective environmental management and awareness. The process involves tracking environmental indicators to ensure compliance with UK legislation, evaluate the effectiveness of control measures, and identify opportunities for improvement. Organizations may monitor air quality, water discharges, energy consumption, waste production, and noise emissions, all of which are regulated under various statutory instruments, including the Environmental Committing, England and Wales, Regulations 2016 and the Water Resources Act 1991. Regular monitoring allows businesses to detect deviations from acceptable standards early, preventing environmental damage and potential regulatory enforcement. For instance, monitoring effluent discharge into local watercourses ensures that limits on chemical concentrations are not exceeded, as stipulated by the Environment Agency, protecting aquatic ecosystems and public health. Additionally, monitoring energy usage and greenhouse gas emissions supports compliance with the Climate Change Act 2008 and related carbon reporting requirements, while also identifying opportunities to reduce energy costs and operational inefficiencies. Data collected through monitoring must be recorded accurately and reported in line with statutory requirements, forming the basis for audits, inspections, and continuous improvement. Environmental Key Performance Indicators, KPIs, can be used to measure progress, such as reductions in waste sent to landfill, decreased water usage, or improved recycling rates. Staff training and engagement are crucial for effective monitoring, ensuring that personnel understand how to record data correctly, recognize anomalies, and take corrective action when necessary. By embedding monitoring systems into organizational practice, businesses maintain compliance, enhance sustainability, and demonstrate environmental responsibility to regulators, clients, and the community. Environmental emergencies, such as chemical spills, accidental discharges, or fires, present significant risks to both human health and the natural environment. The UK legal framework places a clear responsibility on organisations to prepare for and respond effectively to such incidents. The Environmental Protection Act 1990, along with the Environmental Permitting Regulations, requires businesses to have systems in place to prevent incidents and mitigate their consequences should they occur. Incident management begins with the identification of potential emergencies, followed by the development of detailed response plans, including containment measures, communication protocols, and designated responsibilities for staff. For example, a chemical spill on an industrial site might require immediate containment using bunds or absorbent materials, notification to the Environment Agency, and detailed record keeping to support incident investigation. COSH regulations also guide the safe handling and storage of hazardous substances to prevent accidental releases. Training employees in emergency procedures is critical. Staff must understand how to respond swiftly and effectively, minimizing environmental harm and ensuring the safety of themselves and others. Incident investigations should follow every emergency, analyzing the root cause, assessing the effectiveness of the response, and implementing improvements to prevent recurrence. Reporting requirements under UK law include notifying regulators promptly and maintaining detailed records of the event, which can be critical for legal compliance and organizational accountability. By adopting a structured approach to environmental emergencies, businesses not only meet their statutory obligations, but also protect the environment, preserve public confidence, and reduce the financial and reputational impacts of environmental incidents. Environmental awareness extends beyond compliance and risk management to encompass sustainability and corporate responsibility. In the UK, organizations are increasingly expected to integrate environmental sustainability into their strategic planning, aligning with legislative frameworks, national targets, and international commitments such as the Paris Agreement. Sustainable practices involve using resources efficiently, minimizing waste, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and safeguarding biodiversity. For instance, companies may implement energy-efficient systems, source materials responsibly, or adopt circular economy principles, ensuring that products and materials are reused, recycled, or recovered rather than disposed of. Corporate environmental responsibility also includes transparent reporting on environmental performance, engaging stakeholders in sustainability initiatives, and fostering a culture of environmental stewardship among employees. The HSE, an Environment Agency advocate for proactive sustainability strategies, recognizing that organizations can simultaneously achieve operational efficiency, regulatory compliance, and positive environmental outcomes. Businesses that prioritize sustainability enhance their reputation, attract environmentally conscious clients and investors, and demonstrate leadership in their sector. Additionally, integrating environmental responsibility into corporate governance ensures that environmental considerations are included in decision-making processes, procurement, and project planning, rather than being treated as an afterthought. By linking sustainability to day-to-day operations and strategic objectives, organizations contribute to national environmental goals, reduce environmental risk, and cultivate long-term resilience against resource scarcity, climate impacts, and regulatory pressures. Environmental awareness is an essential competency for all organizations and individuals operating within the United Kingdom. It involves understanding the impacts of human activities, recognizing hazards, complying with regulatory requirements, and implementing proactive measures to protect the environment. This element has covered the foundations of environmental awareness, including legislation such as the Environmental Protection Act 1990, Control of Pollution Act 1974, and Water Resources Act 1991, as well as practical measures including risk assessment, monitoring, incident management, pollution prevention, waste management, and sustainable practices. Employees at all levels must understand their role in maintaining environmental compliance, recognizing that even small actions can have significant impacts on air quality, water resources, soil health, biodiversity, and climate change. By embedding environmental awareness into organizational culture, companies not only comply with UK regulations, but also foster operational efficiency, sustainability, and public trust. Key takeaways include the importance of continuous monitoring, risk assessment, employee training, and integrating sustainability principles into strategic planning. Organizations that invest in environmental awareness demonstrate corporate responsibility, reduce legal and financial risks, and contribute positively to national and global environmental objectives. This element sets the foundation for subsequent modules, which will explore environmental risks in detail, practical mitigation strategies, regulatory compliance in depth, and continuous improvement frameworks to ensure ongoing environmental stewardship. You have now completed Element 1 of the Environmental Awareness course. You will now be given 5 knowledge questions on this particular element. You must pass with more than 80% of questions answered correctly in order to move on to the next section. Good luck.